please welcome a player who has rediscovered his brilliant best this week in Hong Kong. He's beaten 3 of the world's top 5, including Judd Trump, to make a 12th ranking final and his first for 6 years. Victory today would surely rank among his career highlights. Here comes the 2015 world champion, Stuart Bingham. And his opponent, bidding for a 2nd World Grand Prix crown and his 2nd title of the season. Also back to his best and guaranteed to be back in the top 16 after this week. He's a World, Masters and UK champion and an absolutely brilliant ambassador of Australian sport. Here's the Thunder from down under, Neil Robertson.
So the stage is set for the World Grand Prix final, the best of 19 frames, the first to 10 to be crowned the champion and collect that first prize of £180,000.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Big occasion as well for our referee for the final, Ivy Zhu. The players pose next to that beautiful silver trophy. Who's going to be lifting it aloft come the end of the day?
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame is Stuart Bingham to break.
Here we go. Stuart Bingham against Neil Robertson for the World Grand Prix snooker title. Stage is set. Neil folds for what should be a cracking match, and Stuart Bingham's form this week in particular has been a revelation.
It has. I don't know where it's come from, quite honestly. I didn't see him necessarily being in this final, but we know what he's capable of. He's been a world champion, albeit 10 years ago. Neil Robertson, the man he's playing 15 years ago, but it's a while since these two have locked horns, and they've played in some pretty big matches, but not since the Welsh Open final in 2019, 6 years ago. So maybe that's just a reflection on Bingham not really coming to the top table that often since then. But he's beaten 3 of the top 5 in the world, including Judd Trump. That was yesterday. As for Neil Robertson, his sublime performance, I thought, against an in-form Shaun Murphy was the pick of all of the snooker, really, I think we've seen this week.
Yes, I think his last 2 matches in particular, beating Zhao Guodong from 3-1 behind, winning 4 in a row, and then beating Shaun Murphy from 2 down with 3 to play, was Robertson back at his very best. He won the English Open this season, his first ranking title for 2.5 years, having fallen out of the top 16. But just the way he's performed under extreme pressure when it's mattered most this week, reminiscent of the very best of Robertson. But he's immediately got a headache here after a good break-off from Bingham.
I think the problem is the red that's gone up the table and is covered by the brown, isn't it? It means he can't get back to bulk. He can't play the containing shot at this end with the red below the black. He's got to try and find the bottom red here, which looks like he's done well enough.
Stuart Bingham lost in the World Grand Prix final back in 2016, which was the first time this event was a ranking event. He lost a thriller to Sean Murphy, 10-9 in Llandudno. This is the 7th different venue for this tournament, and the first ranking snooker in Hong Kong for 36 years. What a run it's been, though. Mark Williams, 4-2. Wu Yize from 2-0 behind. Wu having made 2 centuries, 4-2. Very close.
Well, he's a very attacking player, Bingham, isn't he? Even there, you know, it would have been easy just to push that red down the table, but to try and pot it. I think he's got this far by being bold when, you know, the time had to come. Got a little bit nervy at 5-1 to 5-3 yesterday against Judd Trump, but he found a way of getting over the line, despite, as he's already, you know, explained, that his cue action's been very in and out, very sort of quick on some shots and slow on others. It's pretty noticeable, actually, with Bingham, that not every shot has got the same repetitive cue action at the moment, but, you know, he's got there on skill. I think just the talent that he's got has kind of managed to see him through that, a few odd moments. As for Robertson, you know what he's like when he's playing well. He becomes almost impossible to beat, and I think that's the problem Bingham has got. He's got to get into the match with him early here. That's a handy fluke, which some members of the audience loved.
The ready knocked in to launch the century break to beat Murphy in the decider yesterday was arguably the shot of the week, given what was riding on it. And had he missed, he was giving Murphy that same chance. Feels like the old confidence has been returning to Robertson's game during the course of this tournament.
Yeah,
he's also now using a titanium ferrule, which he feels has given him more control. He's playing shots, he says, that he hasn't been able to for years, so he's feeling very upbeat about his game. Stuart Bingham, on the other hand, as Neil has indicated, has actually been quite downbeat, even after he beat Mark Selby from 2 down with 3 to play, talking about this problem he's had with being able to pause on the backswing for certain shots, and he's engaged the services of a hypnotherapist in a bid to try and sort that out. It's a problem he says he's had before and then went away and has come back again, but it hasn't prevented him not only getting to this final but beating the very best to do so.
Well, that was a mistake, and it's given Robertson an early in here. He played a good shot in behind that yellow, covering all the reds, from, despite how spread out across the table they were. Well, he's not perfectly on the pink, but it offers a lot if it goes in with 2 reds close to opposite middles. It's very hard to continue where you left off, I think, at this game. I think 2 instances of that. Robertson was flying at the end of the Murphy match, but of course he's circumspect at the start of this one, understandably. But more notably, Judd Trump was sensational against Hossein Vafai, and he didn't play to within 21 points of that, I don't think, against Stuart Bingham, who put him under more pressure, of course. But it is true to say that, you know, one day you might finish brilliantly, and it doesn't mean you're going to feel exactly the same at the beginning of the next day. That is snooker for you. And he's faced with an awkward little shot here to middle. Is the cueing that's tricky. He should get it, but cue coming into bulk and back out. So it is a good chance, I have to say, that he has worked himself into a good opportunity to start this match. be very interested to see if he can follow up his previous performances this week, because he has been playing well again. He is expected to win this final by a lot of people, but Judd Trump was expected very strongly to beat Stuart Bingham and didn't, so you don't know.
13.
He won this title back in 2020 when it was staged in Cheltenham, the February edition. Beat Graham Dott, runner-up to O'Sullivan the following year.
14.
Going for a 25th ranking title today. He's 7th on the all-time list in that regard. He'd move to within 1 of Mark Williams if he does walk away with the crown. Of course, he's already confirmed as being a seed for the Crucible, which was still in some doubt at the start of this week. He's also up to 4th place on the one-year ranking list, and he'll
18.
move up a further spot if he wins, so clearly he's going to be in both the Players and Tour Championships to follow this tournament before the big one at the Crucible.
19.
And who knows, given the way he's now started to play, maybe this is the year that Robertson finally makes a serious impression in Sheffield, which he hasn't done for a very long time. He's only been in one semi-final there since he won the title 15 years ago.
26. $27.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, I've fancied so many times Neil Robertson would be champion again, or at least figure at the, you know, the last couple of days for the final, but it's just not quite happened for him. I don't know why. Sometimes he goes into it having had a great season and seems to run out of steam like so many others do, and other times he just never quite settles in. And of course he didn't even make it to the Crucible last year, which must have horrified him actually, not qualifying when he was the most dangerous of the qualifiers probably ever, in that he wasn't in the 16.
32.
Lost to Jamie Jones and didn't even make it to the 17 days. It's all behind him now, although
33.
this break seems to have come to an abrupt end.
Neil Robertson, 33.
Well, Bingham will be pleased there because, you know, I know that he has not really had a chance, but he probably saw that as frame over. But Robertson, he's just very circumspect at the moment. He's not quite in the flow. But what he has done is stop Bingham at any point from having a chance at this stage. Stuart is a very experienced campaigner who spends quite long periods out of form, but when he's back, he's back. Notably, World Championship semi-finalist. Beat O'Sullivan on the way last year. Of course, if he were to win this match, he'd like to be one of the seeded players again. Wow, that is a very, very expansive safety shot. It's a fantastic one as well. Look at that for a shot. He's basically said to Neil Robertson, you know, I want to open this frame up, and he's done it. That's a brilliant safety shot. That's a good shot. That is a very good shot from Neil Robertson, cushion first. It's clever, actually. I mean, he could have played very thin contact on the way up, but he definitely played to miss it on the way up and just clip it as he did. So very, very good.
Stuart Bingham only just got into this tournament. He was 30th on the one-year list at the cut-off. He hadn't been to a ranking quarter-final all season. He's just overcut that one, and that could be expensive.
One.
Just slightly awkward queuing is the only thing you feel can stop him here.
Eight.
Ivy Zhu just watching that last shot very closely to ensure that there was no foul or infringement where he was queuing over a ball. And of course, he didn't do anything. If you're not that familiar with snooker, even if your shirt or anything was to touch any ball on the table, but even if the ball didn't actually move, because it would be a foul. So it'll be 50 in front when this is potted. There's still 75 on, and he knows that, you know, he's got to ensure that he finishes the job here, because he had a couple of chances, but he's very, very watchful early, isn't he, in this frame? Yeah, I don't know quite how he thought that was going to work out. He's got a choice of red still. There's certainly one red that goes.
16.
But he was always going to screw off the cushion into that ball. So he's a little bit more awkwardly placed on this than he might have been. But it's not stopping him.
17.
So this looks to be 1-0 Australia anyway, in the Australia-England clash here, because Robertson has basically dominated this frame. Bingham had a couple of half chances, but nothing more than a half chance at best, I would say.
Yes, it looked as though Bingham had played a very challenging, attacking safety shot, but Robertson responded with a very good shot of his own. Bingham took on the long red, failed to get it, and this is the result. Robertson with this frame ball black.
$30. 31.
Of course, Robertson has tasted success in Hong Kong before. In 2022,
38.
he won the big invitational,
39.
beating Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final. That was the first snooker staged here since the pandemic.
$45.
Yes, I mean, there has, as you
46.
say, been snooker here. The people have, it's almost as if they're saying that it's never been snooker here since that 89 event that Mike Haller beat Dino Kane in, but there has been quite a bit of snooker over the years played here. Long since that. And even
53.
more recently, but as far as full ranking events, none since then. Probably too long.
54.
But here we are playing again at a venue that's always been, well, not so much a venue because it's a new venue, but in a country that's always loved snooker. Good crowds and some good players. You know, there was good players from Hong Kong before Marco Fu came along. Frankie Chan was decent. There's been good players. So there's been a following in the game.
Yes, Marco was involved in an exhibition match this week here against the whirlwind Jimmy White.
62.
And made that maximum break the last time we had an invitational event here, to beat John Higgins in the semi-final before O'Sullivan beat him in the final. But Neil Robertson has dominated this opening frame. He's taken these nicely
69.
after Bingham missed from long range.
$74.
No one's thirstier for centuries than Neil Robertson. Of course, there aren't enough points to make one in this frame. But he'll be pretty happy with the way he's queuing early in this final. 87, a nice clearance from Neil Robertson. Stuart Bingham not troubling the scorers in our first World Grand Prix final frame. But there's a possible 18 still to play. A good start, though, from the Thunder. He leads by a frame to nil. So Neil Robertson, who dominated the first frame, will break off in the second. It's actually Bingham who leads the head-to-head, 7 wins to 5, but Robertson has won the more significant meetings between the two, including a semi-final at the UK Championship in 2013. That went to a decider. And, of course, that Welsh Open final, their most recent meeting in 2019. The last time that Stuart Bingham won a title was that year in Gibraltar. That's a lovely bit of queuing, and he knew the moment he'd struck it, it was bound for the pocket. He was on the move in a positive way.
Yes, he'll have to play the black here. He'll have to go into the bunch, I think. So this is an important shot. Got to force it a little bit. And there was that little quick cue action that he's made comments about, but I don't think, look, if the ball's going in the pockets, really, that's all that matters.
8.
It's just how you feel about certain shots. It was not the usual Bingham slow backswing. It was fast, but he's got the talent, I think. That's the key. You've got, sometimes players have got the talent to still pop the balls and overcome other stuff that's going on. On that occasion,
Stuart Bingham 8.
he just hit it to the top jaw. I don't know if he played on the pink, but even then, by missing the potting angle, he was never going to land on it. It would have been on the black otherwise. Now, if this red goes up into the green pocket, he'll be playing it, or maybe even to the right middle. He's kind of hit the same place on that shot that Stuart Bingham did on his. Well, this is an early test for Bingham to pot this, probably swing the cue ball around 2 cushions on the black. Ah, lovely shot. Now that is one that will inspire him, I think, more than the first. That's a beautiful shot.
Remember, aside from that victory over Trump yesterday, he also came from 2 down with 3 to play against Mark Selby to win 5-4. He said after that match that his wife had been watching, and when he fell 4-2 down, because she thought it was another best of 7, she switched off assuming he'd lost, only to find out later that, of course, it was the best of 9 and he was still here, and now he's in the final.
I seem to remember something like that happening in the Shanghai Masters with Gary Wilson. Thought the match was a best of 9, which turned out to be a best of 11. So it wasn't over when he thought it might be.
9.
Now that's Left him a very tricky cutback on the black. Very tricky. He won't want to refuse the black. It will kind of feel like a bit of a negative shot, but he completely overhit it. He might have to play the green. That will be a big disappointment to him.
Green ball. Stuart Bingham, 9.
I think Bingham knows that it's early in the match, but he has missed a trick. He's been in, certainly, we'd say twice this frame already. In the last time, he should have made a lot more than that, and no one will be more disappointed than him, given he had to play a pretty tame safety shot at the end of that little visit to the table when he'd given himself a chance.
By getting to this final, he's moved from 30th on the one-year list at the start of the tournament up to 14th, which of course has got him into the Players' Championship in Telford a week tomorrow. If he wins today, he'll be well in contention for the Tour Championship to follow. In fact, he'd certainly be in, because he'd be in 7th on the one-year list, and that's for the top 12 this season. Oh, that's another cracking pot. He's knocked in 3 outstanding long reds already in this frame. But he's also got a good cue ball, which of course was part of the shot he played. So just dribbling up behind the yellow.
Stuart Bingham, 1.
Yeah, I mean, the long game's been there, isn't it? Just when he's in, he's not had quite the usual touches. Anyway.
And that does bode well for Bingham, because he has had problems with his eyes in recent times. He experimented with glasses last season and contacts as well, both of which he's abandoned now. But seeing the long ones well enough thus far.
Now that's just pushed that red towards the left middle slightly more than it was. The containing shot. I don't think Bingham would have been interested, but I think he'll take it on now. And he has to take his shots on. This is tough. And if you're going to miss his, it's usually to the top jaw, I think, hitting too much of the red. Well, he missed it the other side this time as well. So he's trying to be aggressive. But the concern would be that Bingham has been in, and it might not take 3 visits to the table for Robertson to win a frame at the moment. It's very early in the match, but Robertson has settled a lot better.
One. 3.
Just looking at the right place to land. To get on the pink, to follow the breakup.
4.
I think there's something that might go to the left corner. But the angle he has does not look very suitable, actually. Wanted to be a little straighter on this. Well, this is not what he played on. This blue to the bottom pocket. Well, it's a fantastic shot, isn't it? That is an absolutely fantastic shot. It's not what he initially had in mind, but he completely nailed it.
9.
And he knew that the pink wasn't necessarily in the way of the bunch, because the keeper would arc sort of into a straighter position. That is one of the best shots I've seen all week.
The action he got there on the cue ball, I think that's what he's been talking about this week. He feels as though he's got a lot more power with this new ferrule that he's using.
Yeah, I mean, that may be true. I do also think that a lot of that stuff, if you believe something is helping you, it does help you. Because he was doing okay a couple of years ago, wasn't he, when he was winning a lot of tournaments with the equipment he was using before. But if you feel that something gives you that little boost, then it always will, I suppose. Just playing better as well.
$16. 17. 22. 23.
Well, you would expect Robertson to convert this chance the way he looks to be playing. And it wouldn't necessarily be a very good sign for Stuart Bingham, not only because he'd be 2-0 down, which is obvious that wouldn't be a good sign, but just the manner in which it's happening. He's not made anything from his opportunities. Robertson looks a lot more focused when he's come
30.
along, more believing that he's going to win the frame. Played a fantastic shot to open the reds off that blue to the green pocket.
31.
He's going to have to plumb the bottom right-hand red, I think, here. I think the two reds above and to the left of the black when respotted are the slight problem. We'll need a part of that. Can't win the frame without them.
39.
So how does he go about this? If he cannons the right-hand side of the right red of the two, then the cube will head towards the other reds. It looks as if it would be highly unlikely he wouldn't be on a ball. Been playing on the top red from there.
46.
He takes two high value colours with these. reds that are more in open play, he actually won't need
47.
the 2 reds, although to take one of them would secure the frame. He's over-screwed slightly, so now can he play on the black, which would be
54.
44 on it, 43 on, or can he get through that little gap? It's not perfect, this. He's got to find the little gap if he can.
55.
He's giving himself more to do by playing that shot. I'm sure he'll get it, but you know, it's pink. Put him 43 in front. So there's just a moment here where there could be a turnaround should he miss. He decided to go to the middle pocket. Played it well. Played it very nicely. Bingham can only tie if the chance ever comes.
61.
Definitely 2-0 now. And the frustration for Bingham is that he's knocked in 3 great long reds, but they didn't amount to much in the way of a break. Robertson, on the other hand, backing up his 87 in the first frame with another
69.
clean kill.
Sorry.
He looks sharp.
Yeah, 69.
And this time he can make a century, closing in on 1,000 for his career to join Messrs O'Sullivan, Trump and Higgins, the latter two having reached that milestone this season.
77.
Still holds the record, Robertson, for the most centuries in a season, 103.
79.
Of course, Trump has also made 100 and is closing in on doing it again. He's now up to 86 for his career, or this season, I should say.
82.
Yeah, it's going to be touch and go, isn't it, for Judd? I mean, he's going to have to go pretty deep into some of the 3 remaining events to get himself to that point where he gets the 100 for the 100,000 bonus. He did knock in a couple yesterday in defeat, didn't he, which helps. But even then, just missing out on the chance to play in this final. I know it's not all about centuries, but there is that incentive for making 100 hundreds.
91.
Robertson looks a little puzzled as to how the cue ball has ended up there, so the century now in some doubt. He's going to need a good shot with the rest. Looking for his 40th of the season. Very well done. He's going to need a good pot on the black as well.
97.
Crowd enjoyed that one. Good to see so many people in today. So this for century number 979. And in it goes. It's all Neil Robertson in the early running. 87 in frame 1 and 104 in the second. Stuart Bingham needs a swift response. Otherwise this session could get away from him. 6 more to come. And Robertson leads 2-0. Neil Robertson's 5th century of the tournament puts him 2-0 up on Stuart Bingham, who's not really had an impact as yet. He's had chances in the first couple of frames, albeit the first one was a long-range red. That was not a good break, very nearly in off, so he's had a bit of good fortune in that regard.
Bad break, wasn't it? I mean, he's kind of hit the red so thin in contact that he's not even hit the blue. He's hit it thinner than the angle to hit the blue. So at the moment, his cue action is a little bit haywire, but as I say, I think what got him going yesterday, you know, Bingham, first frame was poor frame that against Judd. He won it. Judd equalised with a big break, and we thought, well, OK, now this Judd's going to start playing brilliantly. And then Bingham had that chance for a 147 in the third frame, which he never took, but he got to the point where he thought he might make one. And that just got the juices flowing a bit, didn't it? You know, his performance was miles better after that.
Robertson misses the thin edge and also catches the middle pocket jaw. So Bingham's had a bit of
Stuart Bingham 4.
that ball run that he's known for on occasion. He could easily have seen the white go in off the break, and that would have been hand on the table for Robertson. You'd have fancied him to knock in the long red and be off and running again. As it is, Bingham with half a chance.
Strange place to be after your opponent's break, wasn't it, in that corner? He's got to get this if he can, run it through on the black. It's not happening yet. It's a worry, you know. I think it's a slightly worrying
请观众保持安静，谢
sign. There's
谢。
lots of banging and crashing in the audience, but I don't think Bingham will blame anyone but himself for that miss, which he overcut.
One.
Well, if you're just looking at Stuart Bingham and you're thinking, well, OK, where's it going to come from? Is he on the black here, Robertson? If he is, it's not good for his opponent, because for a second it looked as if he wouldn't be on the black, but he is, significantly.
Eight. Nine.
This is their 13th meeting. Bingham's won 7 to Robertson's 5. Five of those matches have actually been won by whitewash. Robertson on 2 occasions. 6-0 China Open 2018 quarterfinals. 5-0 German Masters 2019 in the 4th round, and Bingham with a 4-0, a 6-0 and a 4-0 against Robertson. So there have been occasions when these
15.
two players have met when it's turned out to be a procession.
I remember the 6-0 in the Premier League that Bingham inflicted on him, because that was kind of an odd evening, really. It was down in Guildford in Surrey in the UK, and what happened was they changed it. There was meant to be a Premier League match before, but one of the players was taken out of the Premier League for reasons I won't go into, and instead of playing one match a night, Bingham had to play 2 matches, and he won them both 6-0. One of them was
20.
against Robertson. I've forgotten who the other one was against, actually. Might have been Mark Selby. But he basically played 12
21.
frames, 1 or 12 on the same evening. He was irresistible.
$26. 27.
It's just on that point, it was actually 2012, and Stuart Bingham on the same night beat Mark Selby 6-0. And the man he's playing today, Neil Robertson, 6-0, was just sensational all the way through. Big breaks galore. I think he made 4 on the night. But there you go. That was a long while ago. That was one of those whitewashes that Philip was speaking about. Anyway, this is a little troublesome over the top of a red. Nice shot. He just had to make sure of the pot there, not worry about position, because he'd be on the red anyway.
34. 35. 41. 42.
Bingham will be a little perturbed at how one-sided this is. I think it's like anything else, you know, look, if this frame's gone, okay, and it's not yet, but if it is, if you get to the interval having got to 3-1, just get a frame on the board, get your match started. There's something to work with, but if these frames keep going, it ends up that it's 4-0 at the mid-session, then you're slightly concerned if
48.
you're Bingham, because you've made no inroads. You can start poorly, but as long as you start to pick up frames. Robertson knows, and he's got that mentality, if he can put this match away in one session effectively, he will.
$49. 56.
Robertson looking ominously good from Stuart Bingham's viewpoint at the moment. Picking up where he left off in that
57.
brilliant performance against Sean Murphy. He started that match with 2 centuries. And then, of course, found himself 5-3 behind. Murphy played brilliantly, but didn't pot a ball in the last 3 frames. There's definitely a certain strut about Robertson this week that we haven't seen for a while. Even when he won the English Open, of course, he had to
64.
withstand that fight back from Wu Yize, but although it got him back in the 16, he then slipped out again. Had a few disappointing results thereafter.
65.
And wasn't supposed to be in the Masters. He got in courtesy of Ronnie O'Sullivan's withdrawal and then produced that great fight back against Higgins. But it looks to me like Robertson is playing at a higher level this week than he has at any stage over the last 2-3 seasons.
Frame ball here. And it won't be so easy to follow it up with anything, because the same frame ball, beg your pardon, he actually could tie.
71.
Although the red has gone on the black anyway. So you'll need one more, but nothing really suggests Bingham is about to clear up and make this a respot. Even if the opportunity comes, Robertson thinks he can pop this red to middle. But it looks tight to me. So he could tie the frame here, but I don't know quite how. Depends if he can get on the black to the left corner, Bingham. It would be some frame to win, but he seems a long way off.
One.
Yeah, well, he's interestingly not played on the black there. He's assuming, I think he's given up the fact that he can tie. He's thinking about one snooker. So now he can't win.
7.
Unless he gets the snooker. He would like to take it down to one red, but it's a question of whether the black pots at all, in fact. It looks as if it might do from where he was standing.
Eight.
It's got to go somewhere, and if it goes underneath its spot, then that kind of means that Bingham could have played on the red above it, and all of a sudden the problem of the black being tied up is gone. But that's why Robertson didn't take that red away from the black at the end of that
15.
break, because he knew that it basically made it very difficult, nigh on impossible, for Bingham to win the frame without snookers.
He's walking through treacle with this break at the moment, Bingham, trying to stay in the hunt, but feels like a long shot right now.
It's exactly what I was thinking. You know, he's not getting anywhere, is he? As try as he might, and Bingham is one of the great tries. Ultimately, it's one snooker, but how on earth he gets it, I don't know. As I said earlier, he'll always try and take it down to a single red left before he attempts a snooker or makes a big effort for it.
Stuart Bingham, 22.
Robertson looking for one more pot, which would absolutely seal a 3-0 lead. And there it is. So Neil Robertson dominating the table at the moment, playing well, scoring heavily, doing what he's been doing all week, really. And as Neil mentioned, the next frame for Bingham feels very big, because this final at the moment feels as though it could get away from him
8.
very quickly, the way Robertson's playing. Bingham had half a chance early in this frame. He missed a cutback red by quite a margin, actually, into the left corner.
15.
That let Robertson in for what proved to be a frame-winning break.
17. 20. 24. 29. 35.
It's all Neil Robertson at the moment, completely dominant, looking like the Robertson of old. One of the best in the history of the game. Problems for Stuart Bingham early in the World Grand Prix final. Neil Robertson extending his lead here in Hong Kong to 3-0 with 1 to come before the first interval. Neil Robertson looking for a clean sweep before the mid-session interval. He's been completely dominant so far in this World Grand Prix final against Stuart Bingham. 3-0 up, including his 5th century of the week. Bingham has knocked in some good long pots, but hasn't been able to make anything of significance off them so far.
This feels like a very important frame. I know we're playing 4 of a possible 19, but I feel that Stuart Bingham has to get something out of this frame as to win it. And at the moment, he's hitting everything poorly. That's the worst way to miss that. And he knew the importance of getting in early, but he hit it horribly thick. Bingham is not right in this final as of yet.
It's been a curious week for him, hasn't it? Because even when he was winning, certainly after the Selby match, he was quite downbeat about this issue that he's having with his cue action, the yips as he described it, which of course is not happening on every shot, but it's happening often enough to be a little discombobulating for him. It's a minor miracle, given he's had to battle that problem, that he's in this final, having beaten the calibre of opponents he has. It's great credit to him, but
8.
is it all going to unravel today? Of course, a big reason
9.
why he's in trouble is that Robertson, once again, is cueing very nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. With Robertson, he's got that Australian mentality where he thinks, well, OK, I'm not going to be dragged into someone else's issues. I'm going to just do everything I can to demolish, a bit like the Australian cricket team over the years have done in their pomp. You know, they would just
14.
completely dominate their opposition. And Robertson is the same. He's not going to be feeling anything but the killer instinct here. That's how he has always played the game.
15.
Yes, absolutely. He has that ruthless streak that all great champions do. You'll recall the 2020 European Masters final when he whitewashed Zhou Yulong 9-0 and was very motivated to get that scoreline. There was absolutely no hint of mercy from Robertson. It was only the second time it had happened in a 2-session ranking final. So that's what he's capable of when he gets up ahead of steam,
20.
Robertson.
$21.
It's a good cue ball. He'd be unlucky not to be on one, because you see the cue ball just
26.
stop in the middle of the table here. That means you've got real good connection on the bunch, but for once I'm not certain he's on anything very easy, if at all. That top red, as you can see, actually pots. The cue ball is coming away from the red because it's very thin, actually. Twice across with the cue ball. Pot's got to be taken seriously. Just couldn't get the cue ball out into an area where it was going to help him. So I think the break might be over here.
Green ball. Neil Robertson, 27.
Some light relief for Bingham that Robertson's break ends early. His highest break so far, just 22, Stuart Bingham. He has knocked in some very good long pots, but that's about as good as it's got for him. And of course he did miss one by a very wide margin right at the start of this frame. Very good pot and a great result, but he deserves it because it was a terrific pot. Listen to the crowd. They want to see a real contest today.
Yeah, he didn't have a safety shot, and he sure will always take the positive option. That's the kind of player he is, and it's a bit of a blow to Neil Robertson. The first sort of thing that's gone wrong, really, because he got very fortunate to get on the black. Now, can he keep this cue action intact for a few shots? Because that last shot, even there, the black was very quick. There is a problem, and it's almost... Sometimes a player will have an issue and you can barely detect it, but you can really see it with Bingham. If he can win this frame, he's in the match. And it's a chance that's come up from virtually nowhere.
9.
Well, he hit that one properly, but I think he tried to get the cannon on the red above it. He's going through some agonies here. This black is horrible. He's got to play it. That's where you need a little bit more luck, because it was a good pot. End of break.
16. Stuart Bingham, 16.
A very disappointing end to what looked like a very promising chance after Bingham had potted a good red and landed perfectly on the black, but immediately ran out of position from there. So just the containing safety shot. I think the way Bingham is struggling at the moment, Robertson will already be thinking about a lead of potentially unassailable proportions at the end of this session. It is still early in the piece, of course. We've got another 5 frames to come in session 1, but if Robertson were to win this frame, it could get ugly for Bingham.
Touching ball.
Well, at least touching ball ends the chance of the ball's been re-racked, because he can play right up the table here. He hasn't got to hit a red because he's deemed to have already done so, because it's touching. So take the cue ball round the angles. He's looked at playing down there. I don't know if he's worried that the red might pot to the right middle from down this end of the table. But he's got to do something positive, I think, which is kind of in keeping with how Stuart Bingham thinks at the table. I think that's a pretty good shot. Can't really say there's a lot wrong with it. I don't know whether he can get to that red to right middle, but it's very acute anyway, even if he can. Well, this has caused him a few problems, clearly. And the double to the opposite middle. So, it's safe to say that Bingham is getting half chances here. And this is another half chance, because if he pots the red to middle, cue ball just clatters into the red, so you're almost hoping for a good kiss. But again, I can't see how he can refuse the shot. Take it on, chance your arm. He had a bit of luck earlier in the frame, but he'll need a little bit more here, I think. Not close. Nothing's going as planned, quite honestly, for Stuart Bingham today.
One.
It's a bit of a concern for Bingham, as we've already said, but Robertson will be all out to get this frame one as well, to inflict more pain, and it's not his problem, you know, out there. It's not as if Stuart Bingham is anything but a great week. He's on £80,000. He's in the next event, the Players. So there's not a lot of reasons for Neil Robertson to feel sorry for him. Plus, he's got a tournament to win of his own, his career of his own. But if he maintains his concentration and leads 4-0, slightly ominous scoreline, you feel, on the run of play. Because it's been horribly one-sided.
14. $15. $22. $23.
Now the last difficult thing to do here would be just to get from blue to red, because the reds aren't that nicely placed. The left-hand red would be the one to play on into the right corner if you could get down that channel, but this is a slight issue. I don't know that the red... Yeah, well, I was going to ask that question. The red close to the pink spot doesn't go into that pocket. So he's got to play a good shot here. He's trying to go down the left side. He's a little bit close to the side cushion. But it's not the worst by any means where he's finished.
28.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of banging and crashing in the arena. Robertson wisely stepping up off his shot, because he's pretty close to making it 4-0 here. He's already made breaks of 87, 104 and 71.
29.
It was well cued. Never easy when you're queuing down like that.
Played it perfectly, didn't he? Nicely on the blue now. Needs another red. And I think Stuart Bingham's worst fears have come true in this session.
34.
We know he's got a slight issue with his technique.
35.
But it's really been magnified and been exposed by somewhat Neil Robertson, and also I think just by playing in this big final. This was a frame he had to win. He had one chance and it didn't look like scoring from it, quite honestly. And 4-0 is the only scoreline that makes any sense on the run of play.
Yes, Bingham's highest break just 22.
43.
Robertson has been all over him. Bingham had half a chance again in this frame, of course. He missed the red into the left centre pocket. It wasn't easy, but he overcut it by a margin. And Robertson is proving
50.
very adept at picking up the pieces. He looks very confident. The old
51.
swagger seems to be back again. And he is absolutely dominating this final at the moment. 4 more frames to come after the interval that's coming up very shortly. And Robertson will be
57.
looking to push on to a lead that simply can't be retrieved.
59.
It's a big mental test as much as anything now for Bingham with these technical issues he's got. To try and make a contest of this. Never mind think about winning it right now, because Neil Robertson is comprehensively dominating proceedings in the World Grand Prix Snooker final here in Hong Kong as they head off for a 15-minute break. Stuart Bingham has much to ponder. Nothing has gone right for him, and Robertson deservedly 4-0 in front
谢谢大家，再检查一下手边的物品，小心不要
as
掉
we
落。
get back to the live
Thank you,
action.
frame 5. Stuart Bingham to break.
Stuart Bingham has had 15 minutes to try and regroup, and that is exactly what he didn't need at the start of this second half of session 1, catching the blue. That's not going to do anything for his confidence, Neil.
No, not really, but we'll see how these frames go. You know, the interval can certainly change your perspective on things. Bingham will not give up. He needs to have a good final 4 frames of the afternoon. Well, it's a fantastic first red. He seems to have got most of the aspects of his game together over the last few days. His break building is there. His long game when he wants it there. Of course, he's become a top safety player, but there's also the odd, very creative shot. He screwed a blue into the green pocket early and opened the reds. It was a fabulous shot. It went on to bring about the century break he made. And he also will be seeing an opponent who's struggling and be looking to keep it that way. Keep things very tight. Not give away any chances, not give away any gifts. And he's given a gift there.
Neil Robertson won.
That was an absolute sitter. Very unlike Robertson.
One.
Bit unlucky because he just pushed the red in the way of the black. The pink actually might go to the middle here. Not sure it's any use to him though.
Stuart Bingham won.
don't think it's a touching ball declared. Don't know what he can get to here. There's maybe a red down the centre, but not the thin edge of anything.
Another opportunity for Bingham then.
One.
Again, it didn't look the smoothest bit of cueing that from Bingham, and he's no man's land, isn't he, with the cue ball?
Yeah, he is. It was a bit unfortunate because it was not easy to land perfectly on the blue, but at the moment, if he can land in the worst place, he will, it seems.
Stuart Bingham won.
Bingham is a great competitor, of course. He's won the biggest title of all. He's won the Masters as well. 6 ranking titles on the Bingham CV, so he will keep fighting and hope that he can just find some of the fluency that we have seen this week, of course, in those victories over Selby and Trump in particular. Robertson has made a few mistakes in this frame.
Stuart Bingham 4.
Well short of pace there.
Safety shot off the side of the bunch here. He always worry about pushing the red close to a pocket. But as ever, meticulous stuff from Robertson. Not quite got the snooker. That's a nice shot from Bingham. That's actually an excellent safety shot. And he'll be getting some support here because I don't think anyone particularly wants to see a runaway. They want to see a really close final, and Bingham will have to have a good 4 frames here to make that a possibility for the evening session. Let's call it a little thick. Now, not a very nice shot left actually here. It was a mistake by Robertson. Bingham always very keen to take a shot on, but can he do so with any confidence where the balls are?
It's another good shot from Bingham. A couple of good safeties in a row. Robertson was a little fortunate, having mishit his, that he didn't leave Bingham possible red, but for Robertson it's all about taking a really commanding lead into the second session. For Bingham, it's trying to give himself a realistic chance when they come back tonight. And that would, you would think, mean winning 3 of the 4 that remain in this session.
It was quite a good shot there, just to play the cushion first, or side cushion first safety shot. I don't know, the temptation for Robertson would be to keep things tight or keep attacking. I mean, the long red here probably doesn't land him on a colour anyway, so he's unlikely to go for it.
Neil Robertson 4.
Pretty much sums up Bingham's afternoon here in Hong Kong so far, muttering to himself again. There's been a lot of head shaking. Nothing is going to plan at the moment.
So there's just a little sign of weakness, although the reds are so awkward now. I suppose it's a question of just Bingham, just get a frame one. Doesn't matter if it's a pretty frame or not, it's a frame. He's got a little chance here.
One.
His highest break so far, just 22. So desperate just to string a few balls together. Small steps for Bingham from this situation. He's proved this week that he can recover from early deficits.
Three.
Not one of this size, admittedly, but of course he's got more room to manoeuvre now. We're into the final, best of 19. But he was
Four.
behind against Wu Yize and won 4 in a row. He was behind against Selby and won 3 in a row to win a decider.
Nine. Ten.
Well, that one just was one he stayed down on, but if anything, hitting it to that top jaw might have just helped him get down close to a red. It's not easy.
16.
See which reds go here. I think the end one will. Yeah, just about, I think. It's tight. And he might actually have the same shot
17.
on the red above it. Just might be able to see enough to pot it. This is a little start for Bingham. Small steps and all that. And I think, as I say, that top red goes in the same way that the other one did. Just about from where the cue ball has gone.
23. $24. $30. $31.
Just gone a bit far there. He wants to come over to the right side of the table, and he has the angle to do that, but just a little straighter would have been better. Nice shot. This is better. This is encouraging, but it won't really encourage him until he gets that one frame on the board and start his final off. Maybe the fact that it was a little bit of a slow burn of a frame helped him. Well, that's not well hit. There was more of the jabbing. So now he's got to roll this in. Play on the red to the right of the black spot. Bad shot the one before.
Stuart Bingham, 38.
He's in a good position, but he's now given a chance straight away back to Robertson.
One.
It's been the scratchiest frame that Robertson has played so far, but he may still prevail. 38 behind, but still 59 on the table with his colour to come.
Looked a fairly big target, actually, even though he's playing around a couple of cushions with right hand
6.
running side. So Bingham might have just survived that error on the pink. Going for the pot here. Oh, it's a lovely shot.
7.
Seeing the cue ball head to the left cushion, which I don't think gives him the angle to pot the pink and get the reds open necessarily. No, it's kind of an odd shot. This is kind of a shot that all you can do is play it. The natural angle, I think, probably takes him slightly away from the reds. So can he screw it in off the cushion? Maybe he feels he can drop it in and open the reds. Well, it was one of those, it just was hitting maybe the top side of the 3 reds. Because if you hit it harder, then the cue ball just
13.
swings even higher and misses the reds altogether.
Neil Robertson, 13.
Stuart Bingham just desperately needs this frame. It's not pretty, but it doesn't matter. He just needs a frame on the board, something to build on. To lose this one, which has been scrappy, and Robertson has made a few errors in it, would be a real hammer blow. Potentially a fatal one, even though Robertson would still need 5 more frames, but 5-0 up with 3 to play in this session.
I think the problem with, if he goes 5-0 up, it's not so much, as you say, he's still got 5 frames to win, but the deficit becomes so big that you're not sure if you're the person who's behind how you can possibly get back into the game. It's a bit like at the World Championships where you see 3-session matches completed in 2 sessions because one player gets so far behind, get completely demoralised. And that's not going to help Stuart Bingham, seeing that drop in, because he's got a shot on the black here to get up for a red. It's a natural.
Eight. Nine.
Couldn't do anything with the cue ball there, so a testing colour for Robertson. But if he can get on the final red, what a chance he'll have to make it 5-0.
It is a bit of a challenge, isn't it, this shot? He's got to push it in with pace, or not even try and get on the red is the other thing.
Neil Robertson, 9.
There you have it, didn't even try to pot the ball. Bit of a nothing shot, but he might have got the snooker. Well, he nearly got lucky, but unfortunately for Stuart Bingham, he could easily have lost the frame there. So the Robertson shot, which was a surprise the way he played that black, actually, just to lay the snooker, has worked. What a chance for another frame this is.
One.
A rather resigned expression on the face of Stuart Bingham. This is the first frame where he's had a clear opportunity to win it. Made a break of 38, which is comfortably his highest of the match, but it looks like it's going the same way as the other four.
5.
Robertson's least convincing frame, but he's in complete control of this match at the moment. There's no pressure on him. And we know that he's a great front runner. He proved that when he whitewashed Zhou Yulong in that European Masters final. He has that ruthless streak
12.
that all the great players do. And he'll be looking to be utterly merciless in what remains of this session as he looks to build an unassailable advantage.
17.
I think in some ways, you know, this is going to be the most significant frame of the lot, isn't it? Because Bingham has had good opportunities here. And
23.
it does concern you now. Where's his first frame coming from? Because it's another one gone now.
This then for 5-0. Stuart Bingham's problems grow ever larger. Neil Robertson at the moment completely dominant. This is the moment where he might have got lucky, but in the event he didn't fluke the red, and worse for Bingham, he left it. And Robertson cleared the colours to win the frame on the black to lead this World Grand Prix final 5-0. It's all Neil Robertson in our World Grand Prix final here, live from Hong Kong. 5-0 up, already halfway to the title. 3 more frames still to come in this session. So clearly Robertson has a chance now to put this title match out of Stuart Bingham's reach. Nothing has gone to plan for Bingham. We've seen further evidence of those technical issues he's talked about this week. He's been able to mask those very effectively in getting to this final and beating some of the best in the world in the process, including the best, Judd Trump, in the semi-finals. Today, though, it's gone horribly wrong so far. But 3 more frames. You never know in this sport, but right now, he's staring down the barrel.
That's a rare old long pot miss I expected Robertson to get. So Bingham in first here.
The way things have been going for Stuart, you half expected that red to drop in there with Robertson bang behind the black. As it is, as good a chance as he's had all day, but hang on, you're kidding. Goodness me.
1.
He's okay. He's on the black, albeit, you know, not perfectly, but
Thank you.
at least there's a red up the table, the other side of the blue, so he hasn't got to hold quite dramatically for a low red. This has got to go in. This has got to go in.
It's not the sort of shot you want to be faced with at 5-0 behind, is it? Nowhere near.
Stuart Bingham 1.
If there's anything good come out of that, and there's not much, he has blocked the pocket for that red. Well, I don't know if it was a big pocket, but it looked like he missed the putt by far enough. But anyway, seeing it again, I think I'm being a little bit kind to him. Listen, I want to see Stuart Bingham compete in this final, play like he has been. That's a good shot. He's nicely on it, but something's going to have to come of this visit to the table. A bit sharpish. I think the longer you kind of look at shots sometimes, the more you can feel the fear in the shot as a player. Maybe you just got to just point his cue, knock a few in it, which I felt he was doing sometimes yesterday against Judd Trump. But he lost all his touch there because
11.
Where he's finished, for some reason, his next shot is difficult, and it shouldn't have been. Those two reds both inviting, but he's finished a bit short. He looks a bit demoralised to me. It's 12. Something of a recovery. The red he's closest to will pass the other red. Yeah, just about. Not a full pocket, but enough of the pocket.
19. Twenty-six.
Just playing a hold there for the black, and the red below it now is the next shot that he'll be playing. Is he finding just a little bit of his touch?
I
think the problem is it's the inconsistency in the way he's hitting the ball. I mean, that last shot was the Stuart Bingham conventional delivery of the cue, as was that one, but occasionally a little fast and furious stroke that goes in there, puts in a quick one, and that's when the problems come.
It's already his highest break of the final. Oh, hang on.
43.
Well, I'm sure he thought he was missing that.
I don't think you apologise to Neil Robertson, but I think it was because he got up and maybe gave the impression he'd missed it, but I wouldn't be apologising for anything there, because he potted the ball he went for into the same pocket he meant it in. Didn't look in, though.
It certainly didn't. Caught half the jaw.
Now, he's played that one nicely with running side around 2 cushions. Didn't look a lot, but it was
15.
kind of as played.
This is quite a gutsy visit for Stuart Bingham, because it's been a horrible session for him so far. He knows at the moment he's not able to rely on his cue action, so he's fighting for all he's worth with every pot here in a bid to make something positive happen.
Yeah, I don't know what he played there. Did he play on around 2 cushions on that top red or not? I wondered at first if he was going to play into them. Because playing into them, felt he'd be on something, very likely. Anyway, he's trying to follow it up with a good safety shot here.
Stuart Bingham, 56.
I don't know if he's played it quite as well as he might have.
It's a Neil Robertson special, and this really would be a nail in the coffin of Stuart Bingham if Robertson can clear up here from 57 behind. And you wouldn't bet against it.
Kind of knew he'd pot that. I think it was one of those. Bingham tried a lot on that safety shot to get him behind the green, but if it doesn't go behind the green, you leave something on. This time it's Robertson that's finished slightly in between shots.
Nine.
And that's not great either, because it really does limit what he can achieve from this shot. Looks fairly close to the in-off into the bottom left pocket, this, so it seems to me that he can only roll it. And not going off. He's got to try and be on a red to middle, so you know, Bingham will hold out some hope there that this maybe won't be the clearance. If it is to be the clearance, you have to play a couple of good shots in a row to bring the break back on track. I think he believes the cube was fairly close to the bottom left pocket. It was close, but it's very well played. That's a beautiful shot from Robertson.
14. $15. 22. 23.
Well, these two reds have been a slight issue in this break, so it feels that he's going to have to play the cannon. They're not available in all that many pockets. Yeah, perfectly played. So now, where does Bingham
30.
get this frame one? He may have played his last shot in it already. That's the biggest problem. It's out of his hands again. I think this would hurt him
31.
more than the last one, which was painful enough. Got him with a half century. Didn't quite take him over the line. And all of a sudden, the counter-attack from Robertson looks a strong one.
Green ball looks the only potential obstacle for Robertson.
Yeah, but I mean, as a left-hander, even that, you'd say that if you got anywhere near behind it, you'd strongly back him to get it, wouldn't you?
$38.
Well, here's the key
45.
shot coming up. Yellow to green.
$47.
A little bit lucky there, quite honestly. He's actually even got the angle on the green to get on the brown, so he didn't mean to nudge into it on the way through. So he was fortunate
50.
in an otherwise very good break. And he wants the pink as well. He doesn't even need the black.
54.
Stuart Bingham ground his way to that 56 break without really convincing while making it, but then ran out of position. Robertson 2 pots away from 6-0. Seems a little uncomfortable on this blue.
Well, he wants to play it into the bottom left pocket, you feel, even though, of course, initially he played to land on it to left middle. So he's torn between the two ways of playing it into the two pockets, I think. He's back on it into the middle pocket now, but then he goes straight back onto the other way. Basically just giving him the frame ball pink. Doesn't need the black.
He won the previous frame on the black. And now he's won the 6th frame on the pink. He looks at the scoreboard, he doesn't need the black. And he increases the misery for Stuart Bingham, who's having a bit of a nightmare in Hong Kong this afternoon after such a great week for him. For Neil Robertson, an already terrific week, looks certain now to get a whole lot better. He's within 4 frames of the title. He leads Stuart Bingham here in Hong Kong by 6 frames to 0.
Thank you. Frame 7, Stuart Bingham to break.
Frame 7 of the 8 to be played in this afternoon session here at the Kai Tak Arena. Stuart Bingham breaking off. Neil Robertson eyeing a second 2-session ranking final whitewash after he inflicted that result on Zhou Yulong 5 years ago at the European Masters.
Nicely played, but the bunch so tightly grouped that you wouldn't expect Robertson to make any serious an error here that would leave anything. Strange little configuration of the Reds. They're packed together, but there are sort of very small gaps in between them. But whichever way you look at it, you should be able to roll up to them.
Foul and miss.
Yeah,
Stuart
pink
Bingham,
first. We
6.
saw that kind of on the way. It looked very much like it. Well, he's left the red on. Bingham looking at the bunch. Maybe the first red goes, which makes it a pretty bad error from Robertson, actually.
1.
Very short, little jabby cue action again there. I don't like to keep on about it, but it was not his smoothest.
Yes, as well as Robertson's played today, and he's made a hatful of breaks, Bingham has had chances. The first, or rather the last couple of frames in particular, he will feel he should have won both. Lost the 5th on the black, the one just now on the pink, having made his first real break of substance. So he's had opportunities, he just hasn't been able to score anywhere near heavily enough to take them.
7.
Well, he must think there's something in there that is a plant. It was a 3-ball plant, and he seemed to sort of play it quickly. I assumed
Stuart Bingham, 7.
that there was something there, but I would have expected him to have a little bit of a longer look at that, because, you know, it wasn't dead set clearly, because it never went in. 3-ball plant with a gap between them all. Probably took a slight bit more thought than what was put into it there. But you can see the discomfort in Stuart Bingham. He's kind of contemplating a lot of the things out there. One of them is to try and find a cue action to compete with this Australian. Goodness me. It must have been a thin contact. It's an amazing game though, isn't it? Because he got lucky there. It was a dreadful shot.
It's always the way, isn't it? When you're cruising as Robertson is, playing well, when you do make a mistake, you get away with it.
Robertson, for one, has just looked up as if he did feel a bit sorry for Stuart Bingham there, but it won't last, I'm sure.
Can pot this red.
Yeah, good shot. Good shot. Well, he can't afford any more slip-ups. I mean, we've been saying that for a while. The last frame should never have lost. Now, from the mid-session interval, really, he should have won both of the next two. The last one was a bad one to lose. We'll see what happens here.
Six. Seven.
Bingham started this calendar year very poorly.
10.
In 3 ranking tournaments, he won just 1 frame in the 3 matches he contested. Lost the other 14. Of course, he's turned things
11.
around dramatically this week. Today, some of those old problems have come back to bite him, but Here's another chance to finally register a frame in this final. Oh my goodness.
Stuart Bingham.
Well, I think he thought that was in, and I was unsure. I think Philip was next to me as well. Goodness me, that was a dreadful one to miss, oh dear. It's the agony of it all, isn't it?
It's actually quite uncomfortable to watch, isn't it? Because Stuart Bingham is a great player. He's a world champion, he's a Masters champion, and he's knocked out 3 world champions to get to the final. But at the moment, he's just not able to do himself justice. His technical issues won't allow him to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is, it's one thing if your opponent plays absolutely lights out snooker and wins 6 frames in a row, and you think, well, you know, what could I have done? The odd shot here or there. But actually, Bingham is getting quite a lot of chances. The more chances now as the frames go on than perhaps early in the match.
Eight. Nine.
Well, that top red is on.
15.
There isn't much that's easy after this as far as the reds. You're going to have to just shift a couple out, and he might do so here. It's a good
16.
move to just try and shift 1 or 2 reds. Having said that, where is the next red coming from if he takes the pink? As he screws back into the bunch again.
Robertson playing in his 38th ranking final today, going for his 25th title. That's a very good conversion rate in title matches, 2 out of 3. For Robertson, it's about keeping his concentration from here. It feels as though the final is practically won already, given the way Bingham is struggling, but of course it isn't. He's still got to win 4 more frames and needs to maintain his focus, not get complacent, which sometimes can be a challenge when you've got a lead of this size. That said, as we know, he's a terrific front runner, and what a chance he's got to inflict even more misery on his opponent here after Bingham missed that short range red to the right corner just now on 31.
Thirty-one.
We need 6 reds here with high value colours.
32.
So one of the 2 balls on the cushions will be required. The reds, that is, I don't mean the yellow.
$38. 39. $46. 47.
It's a natural, and on the choice of the two reds. So like I said earlier, it's
54.
two reds in the middle of the table are straightforward, but there'll be just a little bit more to do by potting the ball down the cushion. They're going along the
55.
cushions pretty well this week, but you've still got to hit them right.
And when you see Robertson queuing as he has this week,
62.
it's a bit of a head scratcher to think that he went 2.5 years without a ranking title.
63.
Remember, after he won his first in 2006, he proceeded to win every calendar year at least one professional title until that spell was finally broken. A remarkable record of
70.
consistency, but whatever was missing during that hiatus seems to be back.
71.
And he played it confidently, that shot. Didn't play, just roll it in. Now the cue will round two cushions in behind the red is the plan. There's another frame where Bingham was in early, and to be honest, the red he missed
78.
was something of a sitter.
Robertson can't believe that
78.
hasn't dropped, but it's academic.
End of frame.
The frame is won yet again by the man from Australia. This is an absolute thrashing right now. You've got a feel for Stuart Bingham. He just cannot get anything going, even though he's had good chances in the last three frames. He finds himself 7-0 down.
Frame
The
8.
lion's share of
Neil
this crowd
Robertson's break.
desperate to see him produce something extraordinary and make a contest of this World Grand Prix final. But Neil Robertson wants the complete opposite. He wants to be clinical in finishing this final off. So we go again after the re-rack, the final frame of this first session.
Well, I'm afraid he missed the red by a country mile. What has he left is the question. He's obviously got the red up the table. Well, he could take the cue ball up the table if he wanted to with the other red down there. It's not really a massive threat to him. That's what he is doing, because he obviously can't get to pot that red. He'll be able to push it down the table for safety.
Well, that certainly opened things up. Decent safety from Bingham. Can he at least take something at the end of this nightmarish session he's had by way of consolation? All sorts of kisses there, and again Robertson has had the run of the ball.
Yeah, he managed to get the cue ball down the table, but it was a bit of a concern where the red was going to finish up. Just missed that red on the right side. It was a good shot in the end. Quite a nice safety shot that, a nice angle, although he has left a long red on. Could done with maybe a wider route round the angles and leaving the cue ball underneath the bolt cushion. But it's quite a brave way of playing it and under the circumstances. Now Robertson, we're forced into this red. Which he's got a great strike rate on these, but there's something resting on it. Feel that he's going to knock more in than he misses.
One.
And of course, it appears that he could take the black if he wanted to, although might be on the brown as well. You can see enough of the black to pot it, I think. Well, you can see from that picture he can. As a left-hander, he'd be stretching quite a lot. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
goodness
Robertson
me, he thought he'd got the pot, and had he got the pot, he probably would have been very disappointed to be there on the red with the green in the way. But of course, now it's Stuart's shot. It's giving him a headache. mean, he might be forced into going for one here. I mean, with the red up the table, there's no safety shot back to bolt available to him. I think he's going to play the red to the right corner with no guarantees of position. But what else can he do? Well, that looks like a handy double kiss. And can you hear the applause?
There's a lot of Stuart Bingham fans in the house, desperate for him to make an impression on this final. And that was a terrific pot in the circumstances. That one wobbled a bit. Yeah, every shot feels like an event, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm not. And the applause is lovely to hear and very welcome. But I actually don't know if it's helping him, because I think it's just putting more pressure on him, because he looks like he wants to get out of the place right now. I mean, this is a man who loves the game, and has beaten 3 of the top 5 in the world this week. But it's been a horrid session for him, quite honestly. I do wonder how Ali Carter would feel about all this, because, of course, if Judd Trump had beaten Stuart Bingham, he'd have been in the Players' Championship, very likely to be in the top 16. He must feel more than disappointed the way that the last couple of days have unfolded, because he'll be playing in the qualifiers at the Crucible now, and a lot of it was to do with yesterday's win over
11.
Judd Trump, where Stuart did ever so well to beat him. Bearing in mind that Judd had played lights out snooker the day before. A lot of things conspired against the captain there.
12.
This is not easy either from there, this pink.
That's a good pot. One thing you know about Stuart Bingham is he's no quitter. He will keep fighting for all he's worth in a bid to at least make the score look more respectable.
Yeah, I think that you're right, that pink didn't look much, but actually it's the best shot he's hit all session. Although he's disappointed to have this kind of an angle, possibly queuing over the red.
Assuming Robertson does go on to complete victory, as seems
26.
almost inevitable, it will still have been an extremely profitable week for Bingham in more ways than one. £80,000 for a start for getting to the final. The points to go with it, which has taken him into the Players' Championship, as Neil has indicated, at the expense of Carter. And that after a pretty dreadful start to 2025 with those 3 heavy defeats.
34.
None of that will make him feel any better right now because
35.
of the parlous situation he finds himself in. But if he can win this frame, then at least he's avoided the dreaded whitewash.
$42.
The reality is that Bingham could and perhaps should have won all 3 frames since the interval. And here's another chance to win this one.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing, that the first 4 frames were something of a rout, but Bingham has played a part in all of these frames, as you say, since then.
Of course, it's worth repeating that Neil Robertson has played extremely well and has scored very heavily throughout. But he hasn't had to play at his best today, even though he's won all 7 frames.
Well, he made a couple of very telling clearances, didn't he? Just when Stuart was threatening to get some kind of an impact on the match. This is something, though, isn't it, if you could win this frame here, and he's still a bit more to do. 54 the lead.
55.
Red colour red will be enough.
And it was a great red to get in. He was in all kinds of trouble.
56.
He had to go for it. And actually, his long game, by and large, has been okay today. It's been when he's been in at short range where the errors have crept in, both positionally and in terms of pots that he missed, not least that red in the previous frame.
I think he just brushed into the red there. He wanted to come in right behind it, but just
63.
brushing it means that he's not on it as straight as he might be, and that's why that little rueful smile. He knows that he should have an easier frame ball than this. There'd be a roar if this goes in, I feel. He missed it. The frame is still live.
Stuart Bingham, 63.
His highest break of the final, but not a decisive one. The expression tells the story, the disappointment that he couldn't kill it off there. And still 67 available to Robertson. Bingham clearly the favourite, but the way things have gone, he won't be taking anything for granted. Particularly now.
Well, has he surely not pushed that red onto the middle? Goodness me. Is there a twist in the tail of this frame as well?
He was up very quickly there, Robertson, as though he felt he may have underhit it, but no, in it goes. Just had the pace to get there.
Thank you.
More cause for concern for Stuart Bingham.
Eight. 9.
Bingham already, I'm sure, pinning his hopes on that red close to the left centre pocket. Everything else is there for Robertson for yet another steal.
16. 17.
I mean, it looked as if Bingham's roll up to the bunch was absolutely fine. I didn't think he could push that red towards the middle pocket. Now he's just looking here at the possibility of finishing low on the red, potting the red and moving the other red out, because that's going to be a troublesome red, the one that's out of shot at the moment. But he decided against the shot that he was first shaping up to play.
24. 25.
So it might end up being the double to the opposite middle. If he can get in line with it, that would be his option. He does like to play shots along cushions, so he might play on it. But I know a lot of players would just leave himself the double and fancy knocking it in. And that's what he's shaping up for now. So back on the
32.
the other option down the cushion, and he couldn't have got behind it any better.
Gasps of admiration from this Hong Kong crowd. And now serious concern for Stuart Bingham that yet another frame has got away from him. Robertson has already won frames on the black and the pink in this session.
39.
And now threatening to do so once again to complete an extraordinary first half of this World Grand Prix final.
41.
He has played exceptionally well.
It's been a terrific break, hasn't it, this one? Well, he isn't there yet, but yeah, the inevitability of what we've seen so far makes you feel he'll probably steal this frame as well. Extraordinary. These last few frames from 4-0, they really have been. Bingham could have won all of them. Should have won at least 2. Anyway, with the blue away from his spot, there is still a bit of thinking for Robertson to do. He doesn't want to leave no angle on the blue, so getting on the pink's tough.
Bingham fearing the worst, hoping for the best in this frame, which in any case would feel like little more than a consolation at this stage.
48.
So it's all about blue to pink for Neil Robertson to complete a dream session for him.
$53.
He's been utterly clinical, Robertson. In taking advantage of Stuart Bingham's mistakes.
59.
And now he's just one ball away from a session whitewash in the World Grand Prix final. Extraordinary stuff. A brilliant performance from Neil Robertson, who incredibly is already...
Thank you.
To make it 9-0.
Frame 10. Neil Robertson's
It's
break.
felt like a much closer match than 9-0, but that's the score. And it means that this man breaking off needs one more frame to win his 25th world ranking title. How many blows can Stuart Bingham absorb?
Rapturous applause once again. I think this audience, well, obviously they want to see a close contest, but they'd love to see Stuart win a frame at least.
How about a maximum? I know it's asking a lot, but that
8.
would cheer him up a bit.
Well, we saw Shaun Murphy make his 10th career maximum not that long ago. Stuart Bingham is on 9 career 147s. It's a good point you make, actually, Dave. I mean, if you're in a situation like this, I think he'd probably have a go at it. Take some glory out of the final, at least.
Doesn't seem happy that he's on the red to left corner, because Judd Trump has got the 2 highest breaks, 146 and 145, so looking good for the £10,000 high break prize.
9.
It's been good to see Bingham come back to form. He's struggled this season, particularly in 2025 itself. He hadn't won a ranking event match this year. Had some bruising defeats, 4-0 to Robbie Williams at the Welsh. Didn't qualify for the World Open. But he's beaten Mark Williams, Wu Yize, Mark Selby and Judd Trump. So, you know, he's played some seriously good stuff in the tournament. He's been talking, though, about what's known as the yips, just not on certain shots delivering the cue properly, which is a concern. It's also, though, to his credit that he's beaten all those players despite that.
$15.
Well, if you
Stuart
take an
Bingham,
eye
15.
or both eyes off the pot, it just shows you what can be missed. Virtually anything. Oh, that was cued, really cued right across it. Nearly found the middle pocket with the cue ball.
Neil Robertson's first chance then to get the title won. The Grand Prix was a different event, but the Grand Prix was his first ranking title back in 2006. The first of many, and his record in finals is superb. He's won 24 titles from 37
8.
finals. He's won his last 3 ranking finals, 6 of his last 7. When he gets to this stage, he's hard to stop.
9.
Can he go out with a grandstand finish of his own? And all the worry about the crucible and all that has gone away. He'll be there, and in this form he'll be dangerous.
Yes, and let's not forget last year. Didn't even make the crucible stages. He lost 10-9 to Jamie Jones in the final qualifying round. In fact, he began last season very poorly. He lost to players such as Liam Highfield, Daniel Wells, Sanderson Lamb and Jordan Brown very early in the season. He was struggling for quite a while, Neil Robertson. Now, a possible 3-ball plant. These 2 reds that we can see are pretty much lined up for the corner pocket were there from the break-off shot pretty much. And they've remained there. But he does have a red that he could play with the rest into the right corner. I have to say, because they're offset, those 2 reds, and he'd have to play another red onto the plant, I think he's playing the right thing here, playing the right shot. Problem is, how does he get onto a colour? He has too much of an angle, I feel, on this red. To right corner. I don't know if he can cannon into the red and the pink and promote the pink to the left corner. Can he just stun across the face of all of those reds to play the black in the same pocket? It's another possibility, maybe.
Neil Robertson, 16.
Go on, Stuart. Someone shouts out, they're giving him support. Robertson annoyed. He's not there to show mercy. It's been some tough days for him, haven't there, over the last couple of years? As Don mentioned, not qualifying for the Crucible's hard to take. But it's already gone wrong for Stuart. One of those days for ballroom. For those of you just joining us, this is the final of Snooker's World Grand Prix live in Hong Kong. Neil Robertson led 8-0 against Stuart Bingham coming into the final session. He won the first frame on the black tonight, so 9-0 points level in the 10th frame. Stuart Bingham just potted a red, didn't finish nicely on a colour, trying to avoid the dreaded whitewash.
I'm trying to ask myself, you know, what shot would Stuart play had this been frame 1 of the final? And I think he'd be taking on the brown either to the left centre or the left corner. As you can considering the green. Much more difficult to guarantee position from the green. It's such a thin cut. He's looking at the yellow now. Is he going to play a safety? No, he's going to attempt to cut it in. It's very thin. Oh dear. Well, that's a complete and utter miss hit, and
Stuart Bingham 1.
Dave just a few minutes ago was mentioning that Stuart's suffering what he thinks is with the yips, which isn't a new thing in snooker. We had a wonderful player from South Wales, Paul Davis, many years ago, could scarcely hit the cue ball rather, when the pressure was really on him. It's sad to see.
It's sad to see in anyone, but certainly a great player like Stuart Bingham, a world champion, one of the most enthusiastic, positive people in the sport. Hopefully he can sort that out. As I say, he still reached the final despite those issues.
Well, you can see the red nearest the corner pocket comprehensively snookered by the blue, but the red closest to it, you can see, will pop past it, and Stuart's definitely considering this. It's a bit of an all-or-nothing shot, perhaps, but now he's deciding to potentially try to plant this red onto the one over the corner.
Yeah, so another chance for Stuart Bingham. His highest break today, 63 in the 8th frame, but of course Neil Robertson cleared up with 66. Oh no, just for a moment. I thought it was in the pocket, but still not finished great.
3.
Yeah, Stuart's final backswing and strike of the cue ball was all in one motion, which is unusual for him. Sometimes when the pressure hits you and you're really struggling, you can completely lose your cue action, and you can easily misconstrue that for being the yips, but it isn't, because that's more of a psychological thing rather than a temporary loss of your cue action.
Stuart Bingham 3.
Yeah, not a good safety to finish it. Must feel like a sort of anxiety dream, this, at the moment for Stuart Bingham, when just nothing is going right. We know what a great long potter Neil Robertson is.
Not only was the pot impressive, the perfect control of the cue ball, that stun run through, he's played to absolute perfection there.
Well, he was in something of the doldrums, wasn't he, last year? He'd had that streak, 2006 to 2022, every calendar year has won a title of some sort. Didn't win one in 2023. Of course, 2024 came back with the English Open. But
9.
I think everybody felt he could turn it around. Of course, it was up to him to put the work in, to keep the belief. He spent more time maybe on outside tables than he was used to. But this is where Neil Robertson comes alive. This is one of the biggest arenas he would ever have played in. And these Players' Series events, he's won them all 3 of them. Seem to suit him as well.
16. 17.
The red next to the pink. I just wonder if it's available into the right corner.
24.
Be absolutely ideal for Neil if it were to be available. I'm not sure it is though.
$25.
Has a lovely angle to play a delicate cannon into the four reds here. Yeah, I'm not sure that red next to the pink is on, looking at that camera shot there. And if he does go into the four reds, if he cannons one of those top three reds full ball, he may be on nothing. Well, the red next to the pink must be available. And maybe he's on it three-quarter ball. He could screw into the four reds and hold for the pink in the same pocket. And then frame a match and championship really would be at his mercy.
$31.
Neil thought that he could screw into those four reds and hold for the pink. Just skimmed off them, and I don't think any of those four reds are available, so in all honesty it's pointless taking the black on now. May as well put a colour safe.
Yeah, you don't have to go out in a blaze of glory. It's just about getting
Rainbow.
the 10th frame won. And even at 9-0, he's not taking undue risks. He's got a 28-point lead.
Neil Robertson, 31.
I think Neil could just clip a red towards the left-hand side cushion here, leave the cue ball somewhere near the green pocket. That would be pretty good.
He clearly wants to win 10-0, doesn't he? It's not just about winning, it's about getting that little record. Because it'll be in the record books forever. Remember, only 3 players so far have won a multi-session ranking final by way of whitewash. He's already done it once. So it's a very elite list. And he can get his name on it twice here.
Oh, well done, Stuart Bingham. Some of our audience members can see themselves on the big screen. I think the top red of those two together may be available into the right centre, but I don't think Stuart's quite straight enough on the black to play for it. But he may be able to cannon into the two reds. Yeah, didn't fancy it. Don't think the bottom red of the two will pot.
8.
Could double the red that's near the side cushion though.
Stuart Bingham, 8.
Just too good at those long pots, isn't he? Another stunning pot.
Yeah, I was just thinking a few minutes ago to myself, out of all the game's greatest potters and break builders, you know, Mark Williamses, Ronnies, Judd Trumps, all of those guys, I honestly think when this man is at the table in fine form, he's the greatest potter and break builder I've ever seen. But it's hardly surprising because he also possesses one of the finest cue actions the sport's ever seen. And I think Ronnie O'Sullivan will attest to that. There's a quick look at the top red of the two, which will pot into the right centre. Neil could play for it from the yellow, but would need to play the yellow with the rest, I think. Don't know if he could hold for it from the blue, that's the problem.
Well, they both had a look at the potential plant to the yellow pocket. Bingham had a look at it. Robertson's had a look at it. If he can make it, he surely won. It's looking good. It's looking good. Neil Robertson, who first came to the UK at the age of 16 to try his hand at snooker. Dropped off the tour a couple of times, actually went to the job centre. He was going to pack it in. Stood in the queue, thought again.
14.
Thank goodness he did, because he's been one of the best players of the last 2 decades, and this red is for victory.
15.
What a stunning performance. Stuart Bingham has struggled, but Neil Robertson has kept his focus and his determination. And he's going to land his second ranking title of the season and the 25th
20.
of his magnificent career.
22. Neil Robertson, 22.
Neil Robertson is the history man in Hong Kong.
Thank you, Stuart.
The first player to win 2 ranking finals by way of whitewash over a multi-session.
Neil Robertson!
But when you're out there, you are on your own, and Neil Robertson has been superb this week. Right from the start when he beat Yuan Sijun 4-0. He beat Dave Gilbert 4-1. He was 3-1 down to Zhao Guodong, won that one 5-3. He was 5-3 down to Shaun Murphy, beat him 6-5, and of course today 10-0 against Stuart Bingham.